So we talked about a know-it-all. We all have our little devices in our hands with all the information in the whole world, right, at our fingertips, don't we? So if I ask you a question and you just didn't immediately pretend like you knew the answer, you could probably Google it or AI it or something, and you could probably have some information that would satisfy my question, no matter what the question was. So we can look up all the information that there is in the world, can't we? In the World Wide Web. No one could have ever imagined 30 years ago what that would be like, to have everything at your fingertips that you could ever know. But is information and what you can know, knowledge, the same as wisdom? Well, what's the difference? You got everything you need right there on your phone, right? Not really? What do you think? Any thoughts on maybe what the difference between all this worldwide information that we have, everything that you could possibly know forever and ever, as far as we know, and what wisdom is? What's the difference? Discernment.
My phone can't love me.
Your phone can't love you. Okay. Yeah, your phone can't give you a hug. Okay, well.
That was the author confusion. So he tries to give you all this information.
Yeah.
Confuse your connection with the Lord, who is the full power and the full information giver.
Okay. All right. Good. Yeah. So it's a distraction. Yes.
Wisdom comes from spiritual learning, and knowledge comes from intellectual learning.
Okay. Yeah. There you go. That's good. That's good. That's really good. Well, I can sit down now. And well, at least let me read some of the Bible today. How about that? So we've been working through a lot of John's writings. We ended up in the Revelation of the Gospel of John. We looked at from Easter. We started looking at what John was seeing would be post-Easter, actually post-apocalypse, and his return when he came back to get his church. So we spent some time looking at the cross from how glorious it was going to be when Jesus came back in the future. So we went through all of John's writings, which really was to get us to believe that Jesus is the Messiah. That was John's purpose. So we spent weeks and weeks and months on studying John and what it meant to believe in Jesus and who Jesus was. And so I thought I would take a trip back to some of the prophecy that we were studying, and even into some of this wisdom literature that it's called, and look at some of the things that John would have known from reading his Old Covenant Bible, and specifically into the Proverbs, where Solomon wrote some of the wisest sayings that we've ever had. And he was one of the wisest men that ever walked the face of the earth, because he asked God for wisdom, and God gave it to him. God saw a heart that was ready to receive wisdom, and God gave it. So part of wisdom, the spiritual discernment that we're talking about, is to ask God for it, because God is the only one that has it. It's not on your phone. You got information on your phone, all the information you could ever study, but wisdom comes from God. So what is a proverb anyways? Anybody? It's just a literary term. It's not, there's no spiritual answer to it. It's just a proverb. What's a proverb?
A saying of truth.
A saying that implies or of truth.
Collection of wisdom.
Collection of wisdom. I mean, there are non-biblical proverbs. They're just giving you some good tips to get through life with, right? Application of life, in a sense. Moral instructions. Timeless wisdom. That's good. Okay, so it's interesting that we're changing gears from John saying, if you have to believe in Jesus because this is your only hope, he's your only life, to here's some wise sayings to help you get through life. And so we're going to hopefully see how these two things dovetail a little bit. So in the Proverbs of King Solomon, there is a source. And what is the source of the wisdom in these Proverbs that Solomon is writing to us? It's not a trick question. Jesus is always a good answer, but it's God, right? Okay, it's a Sunday school question. Jesus, you're right. The source of wisdom in the Proverbs is God. God is the source of all wisdom. All right. The value of wisdom is understanding, so that we can understand God a little bit better. And then the benefits of wisdom is the discretion that we've already talked about. It gives us the ability to discern. If you have two choices, two paths you can go on. If you've made the wrong choice a few times and you come up to that same intersection, maybe you would discern that this path is a little better going this way. That's not a major spiritual thing. It's just sometimes it's just common sense. And so I think God is the giver of common sense as well as wisdom, and they tie together. So in these first two chapters of the Proverbs, we're going to go through them quickly today. But there's kind of three characters that God speaks through Solomon and uses to help us understand wisdom. One is the wise person, obviously, and that wise person walks in righteousness. We talked about that, and fears God, has an awesome respect for God. It's not the whack-a-mole God that you get in religion, but it's just this awesome God that His love is so awesome that He sent His own Son to die for us. Who would do that? How is that? How great is that love? We can't really fathom the greatness of God's love, and there's this almost this reverent fear of that great love that comes from God. So a wise person walks right with God and fears Him in the sense that He is so great. And then there's others that Solomon refers to as fools, and the fools in these Proverbs are not unintelligent people. They could be very intelligent fools. But they are fools nonetheless. They rely on their own understanding. And then there's just the simple-minded. And those are the folks that just walk astray. They just kind of stay on their phone and walk off into the distance. Right? Simple-minded. And I don't want to poke fun at these other people that aren't wise, because we've probably all done some foolish things, I suspect. And we've probably all just kind of threw it in neutral when we maybe could have been helping others or doing other things, and just stayed on our phone or just stared into space. I don't know what. Sometimes we just go into neutral when we should be serving. So the knowledge is having the facts. We talked about that. It's just the facts. Give me the facts. What was Adam 12? Some of us might be old enough to remember that old TV show, Black and White, in L.A. with two police officers, and one of the officers would always go, "Just give me the facts, ma'am." She would go into this, what happened? She starts going into this long story. He goes, "Just give me the facts, ma'am." That's all we need here. So knowledge is just the facts, only the facts. And then, but the facts that we determined are the knowledge is not exactly what we need to get through life. It's not going to help us with wisdom necessarily. I like this saying. We heard it in a movie not too long ago, a secular movie. It just stuck with me for some reason. One person said to the other, "There are the facts, and then there is truth. There are the facts, and then there is truth." So go Hollywood. They finally said something that got my attention. So truth is, then what is truth? We know what the facts are. This information, knowledge. The truth is, and I put it, is that God is God. And you've heard me say this before, and we are not. That's the truth, right? So sometimes we forget that. It's easy to forget that. And the world tries to teach us that there's something worthy of godness in and of ourselves if we can prove ourselves to be good enough for others, or brave enough, or smart enough, or powerful enough, or rich enough, or whatever the enough is. The world tries to teach you that you can be like God in that area. But the truth is, there are facts that you can learn a lot of stuff and make a lot of money, but the truth is that God is God and we are not. So I think that may be the first step to wisdom, is acknowledging that. And we have to do that to come to Jesus to begin with. And then we have to remind ourselves daily that God is God and we are not. So the know-it-all exposes that they don't know the truth. They're telling you that they think they're God, basically, right? That's simply put. But applying truth, applying this God is God and we are not, is the first step to understanding. So we can't understand God until we acknowledge that He exists and it's not us. So we start to gain understanding when we start to acknowledge that God is God and we are not. So wisdom then is applying the truth to our lives in a godly way. It's just applying this truth, simply put, that God is God, we are not, to our lives. And when we apply that, we all of a sudden start to understand a little bit more about what's going on. We start to gain a little wisdom along the way. We start making choices that don't head us down that path to destruction. We start making choices that look more like Jesus for those of you that are Christians here today. So, let's just jump in. In the first chapter, we find out the Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, the king of Israel, kind of tells us who they're from, and kind of in the Bible you'll see that the sons are always kind of confirmed or recognized by their fathers. And who is he? Not only the son of David, but he's the king of Israel. Now Solomon, you might remember, came along during the golden age of Israel, where they had tons of money and tons of power and tons of wealth. They had tons of everything. They were the bomb at the time. So Solomon could have easily said, I'm the richest guy on earth. I got the most power. I'm going to build the coolest temple of all times. The world's never seen anything like this. I'm the guy. But what did he do? When God came to him in a dream, God said, Solomon, what is it that you need from me? Solomon knew that he was young. Solomon knew that God had given him this kingdom. Solomon knew that his father was a great king, and that God, even though his father had fallen many times, like all of us, God continued to restore the kingdom. Solomon knew he needed a discerning heart. If he was going to be a great king, he needed the understanding that only God could give him. So he asked for it. He said, I'd like a discerning heart. I'd like to be wise. So what did God do? God gave him wisdom. He gave him a discerning heart. And on top of that, he knew that his heart was right, so he could trust him with all the power and the wealth and his kingdom, God's kingdom. He trusted Solomon with it because Solomon came to him with a humble heart. So the Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, are given to us to know wisdom and instruction, to discern the sayings of understanding, to receive instruction in wise behavior, righteousness, justice, and equity, to give prudence to the naive, to the youth knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and increase in learning, and a man of understanding will acquire wise counsel. To understand a proverb and a figure, the words of the wise and their riddles. I love a lot of the Proverbs because they're told in riddles. And riddles, what do? They make you think. They make they engage your mind in a way where you're searching for truth. The fear, the awe of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. God, you are God, I am not. It's the first step into knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. So what I like about the Proverbs that Solomon wrote here is that he's always contrasting and comparing. He's given us a look of, okay, this is what it looks like to be wise, and this is what it doesn't. This is what it looks like to be a fool. Pretty clear here. So God is our source of wisdom, and the value of wisdom is this understanding that we get, that is increasing our learning, that helps us to acquire and desire wise counsel. It puts us in a place where we're in awe of God. So that's the value of wisdom. So the source is God, the value is understanding. So the Lord is speaking to us through Solomon, because Solomon humbled himself before God. And as he continues here, he takes a little bit of a turn and throughout the Proverbs. Although there are different characters, and then there seems like there's different people speaking. So initially, I see the Lord speaking, and then all of a sudden, I see a father speaking to a son, a father imparting knowledge to a son, and I don't think that ability for a father or a father figure to impart knowledge, it never goes away. There's always that relationship, no matter how old we get, right? There's always this father figure in your life that can impart wisdom to you, wise counsel to you. And, as kids, we think we got it figured out. We don't need mom and dad as much as we used to, but we never stop needing mom and dad, do we? And sometimes we just have to rely on others that fill that void, or maybe we think back on things that mom and dad said to us when we were younger, and we're reminded by that. Hear, my son, your father's instruction, and do not forsake your mother's teaching. Indeed, they are a graceful wreath to your head and ornaments about your neck. What a beautiful picture of instruction from parents. My son, if sinners entice you, and when they entice you, do not consent. My son, do not walk in the way with them. Keep your feet from their path, for their feet run to evil. So the value of wisdom, besides all of the knowledge and understanding everything that comes along, the value of wisdom keeps you out of trouble, right?
Yeah.
And we've probably all been in trouble a time or two. So that means we probably all need wisdom more and more. And we've said this before, the consequence of your actions don't keep you out of trouble. If you're bound and determined to get in trouble, you're just going to get in trouble. And it's kind of like, the consequences are not going to stop you. But wisdom, over time, as you gain more and more of it, will help you discern that trouble is not the best place for you. It's not what we were created for. So the Lord speaks, the Father speaks, and then wisdom speaks. Wisdom shouts out. God uses Solomon to write that wisdom is shouting to us from the rooftops. Everywhere we go, God is shouting to us through wisdom. Wisdom shouts in the street. She lifts her voice in the square. At the head of the noisy streets, she cries out. We don't have an excuse not to make wise decisions because she's always there. Wisdom is always there, hearkening to us. Make the wise choice. At the entrance and the gates of the city, she utters her sayings. How long, O naive ones, will you love being simple-minded? How long will we love being simple-minded? O scoffers, delight themselves in scoffing. Scoffers delight themselves in scoffing. Okay. And fools hate knowledge. Wow. This is more than being simple-minded. This is being adamantly against God and His understanding. Turn to my reproof. So wisdom is speaking to you now. You have to turn from kind of what you think the way things ought to be to the way God thinks things ought to be. God is God and I am not. There's some reproof along the way. There's some correction that we have to walk in. Because I called you to, I stretch out my hand and no one pays attention, and you neglected all my counsel and did not want my reproof. For the waywardness of the naive killed them, and the complacency of fools will destroy them. There's more than just minor consequences here. There are some serious consequences that go on in a fool's life. Eventually, it catches up to the fool and the wayward. But he who listens to me shall live securely and will be at ease from the dread of evil. All right, do I want to go into this? I will real quickly. I think we can all we all have a story about ourselves or someone. But I had a friend that I grew up with. He was a great athlete, got a D1 scholarship to play baseball. And there's a thrill in that sport, or maybe in that musical instrument that you play. And then at some point, if you are no longer pursuing the interest or whatever it is you're doing, and you go, into some other field, there's still this longing to hear that beautiful music played in a setting, or to catch that touchdown pass, or to hit that home run. At some point, we have to walk away from those youthful pleasures, I guess, that are good. There's nothing wrong with it. And so then we have to make a choice. Okay, am I going to find something else positive to replace that energy and those talents and that adrenaline that comes with that activity? And so a lot of guys will start gambling in sports. It's just one of those things that you see a lot. And so this friend of mine, good guy, raised in a good home, great athlete, just started betting on sports. And one thing led to another. And it took time. It wasn't like 3 weeks, but it was like 5 years later, he's in handcuffs going to jail. And it was just one little decision after the next along the way. And at the time, he was still a great guy, and he worked through it all. But that's the point. There's all of us have things in our lives that when we start to gain understanding, things change in our lives, and we have to probably set new courses along the way. And we can't recreate some of the things that we have to give up. So as we get older, we have to give some things up, and don't replace them with things that are going to lead us to ruin. All right, enough. The source is God. The value is understanding. The benefits are discretion. Wisdom, the Lord speaks. The Father speaks. Wisdom cries out. Wisdom speaks. And then finally, the King speaks. King Solomon. He's sitting on the throne of the greatest kingdom that earth has ever seen. He's been given the most wisdom of any human being that ever walked the face of the earth. And he wants to help us to apply this wisdom that he's gained, the benefits of wisdom. My son, if you will receive my words and treasure my commandments within you, make your ear attentive to wisdom. What do we got to do? When wisdom's shouting, we got to listen. Incline your heart to understanding. For if you cry for discernment, lift your voice for understanding. If you seek her as silver and search her as for hidden treasures, then you will discern the fear of the Lord and discover the knowledge of God. For the Lord gives wisdom. From his mouth come knowledge and understanding. He stores up wisdom for the upright. He is a shield to those who walk in integrity, guarding the paths of justice, and he preserves the way of his godly ones. Then you will discern righteousness and justice and equity in every good course. For wisdom will enter your heart, and knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. Discretion will guard you, and understanding will watch over you. So the application words here are to receive it, to treasure it, to make your ear attentive, to incline your heart, to cry out for discernment, to lift your voice. Sometimes we just have to sit and cry with God for discernment. There's situations we don't understand. We don't know what to do. We don't know what decision needs to be made. Sometimes we just have to cry before the Lord. We don't have to have it in our own understanding. We don't need to play the fool. We need to let God provide us with the discernment. We have to seek it and search it like hidden treasures. And then God will give you discernment. He will allow you to discover knowledge. He will give you wisdom. He will store it up in you. He will guard you with a shield of and of walking in integrity. He preserves you as a godly one. He will enter your heart and be pleasant to your soul and guard you and watch over you. Pretty good payout for that application, right? These promises are true. This is what your life will look like as you choose wisdom. Wisdom's a free gift. It's not something. God bestows it as He wishes, but it's free. But He is saying that we have to seek it. Now, grace, He gives it to us when we humble ourselves and acknowledge that we're sinners and need it. He gives us grace right then. Boom. All the grace you'll ever have, ever need, all at one time. You're saved forever in a relationship with Him. But once you've received that grace, then He says, come seek my wisdom. Come after me every day. Make choices that look like Jesus, and I will empower you to do that. But you have to seek me. So that's the whole difference for me between practicing religion and walking in the Spirit after Jesus. God empowers us with all the riches of Jesus. And then He says, come follow me. Come seek me, and I will bestow on you the wisdom, the understanding of how to be used by me for others, how to represent me in a lost and dying world. It takes wisdom to do that. We can't do that on our own. Daniel, I'm wrapping up. So the Lord is speaking to us. The Father is speaking to us. Wisdom is speaking to us. The King, greatest King of all, is speaking to us here. And it's what's amazing about His Word is that He continues to do that. Not only did He write this thousands of years ago, several thousand years ago, it's in this room today. This wisdom literature is alive, and it's available to each of us in this room today. These truths are available as we follow. So, as we choose to receive and pursue this wisdom, we can walk out the life of Jesus, and we can gain more. Sometimes God just zaps someone with a ton of wisdom. You've met a few people probably along the way. Well, Solomon was the one example we're using today. But the rest of us, we need it little by little. We have to gain wisdom by our choices along the way. And as we make wise choices, we make more room for more wisdom. We can walk out of this room today with more wisdom and with a pattern that we develop of gaining more wisdom. We're going to spend some more time in Proverbs over the next few weeks and learn more about the benefits of wisdom. Let's pray. Thanks, God, that you love us. Thank you that you and you alone are God, and we are not. It's the first step to wisdom, is acknowledging you. We thank you for Jesus, who died on the cross, washed us clean so that we could even have a conversation with you, and to just be available and to seek you and to treasure you and to receive all the benefits of Jesus. In His name we pray.